I wanted to see if using digital storytelling would help better engage the at-risk students in our alternative high school program. Woven throughout the literature on digital storytelling are accounts of digital storytelling being able to engage students. Sometimes these accounts are direct, many times they are indirect, but it was a common thread throughout the many articles that I researched. Along the way, I used the ADDIE model to plan, develop, evaluate, and revise my lessons. The emphasis of Cycle 1 was building background knowledge. I wanted students to be able to see the Romans as an advanced civilization not a lot different than ours. We then talked about what would happen if a civilization met with disaster.
The Yellowstone supereruption could throw ash 15 miles into the atmosphere. The fallout could cover half the United States.
In order to help students better understand what it was that we were going to be doing, we did a little playing around with the green screen.
Hi, my name is Laura, and we're in Sturgis, and it's snowing right now. Maybe it's gonna snow like 4 inches.
I tried to get students to experience medieval life in as many ways possible, including playing along with Renaissance music. At the end of each cycle, students went on to my school webpage and filled out a survey. This survey was intended to measure how engaged they were. The results were really very encouraging. As we moved into Cycle 2, one thing I did change was to narrow the focus of our digital storytelling project. This video was used to introduce Cycle 2 to the students.
The seismic energy of the 7 magnitude earthquake is the same as 32,000 small atomic bombs.
After watching the Nat Geo video, students reenacted the explosion of the supervolcano in class, giving consideration to how it would affect them living here in Michigan. They then created a timeline of events, imagining how the infrastructure would fall apart and what would they have to do to be able to survive, and then they related that to what happened to people at the fall of the Roman Empire. Now you're going to take the things you learned about the Roman Empire, and you're going to take the elements of digital storytelling that we studied in class. You're going to combine these things to create your own documentary about the advent of the Dark Ages. A discussion of how we would have to adapt in the face of a supervolcano led students into a discussion of the development of the feudal system following the fall of the Roman Empire. Students then chose a topic, researched it, and then turned that topic into storyboards for the making of the class videos. Part of planning for the video also included learning to analyze music for soundtracks for their portions of the movie.
So then where do you think you would hear music like this? In what kind of program or what kind of movie? Depends on your interpretation, doesn't it? Okay. That's a good one.
Students then were directed to go online to places like CC Mixter to find copyright-free music that might be suitable for their part of the movie. Writing storyboards then led into writing scripts to be used for narration. The narrations were recorded by each student in GarageBand and then added into iMovie. Here are examples of some student narrations and the art that they chose for the movie.
The beginning of the Middle Ages was called the Dark Ages. It was time of violence and danger. The Roman Empire had fallen, and many things had been destroyed, including many records and scrolls. The Roman Catholic Church saved what they could and made handwritten copies of things that had been saved.
During the Middle Ages, there were different crafts and trades. One of these was the craft of masonry, or working with stone. Masons carved and laid stone for beautiful floors. To do this, they traced the floors in soft plaster. Another kind of job was to be a monk. A monk worked in the church.
Some new technologies developed in the Middle Ages had to do with the building of medieval cathedrals. Cathedrals were built by the finest skilled craftsmen chosen by the architect. The workers included master quarrymen, sculptors, masons, blacksmiths, glassmakers, stonecutters, and mortar makers.
Kings. During the Dark Ages, people had to protect themselves from invaders and bandits. Often, strong warlords would gain control over little territory and protect it. Eventually, the feudal system developed.
Peasants would eat what they grew in their fields. The nobility ate bread made from white flour, fish, and rabbit. Rather than drink dirty water, people in the Middle Ages often drank beer, wine, cider, and mead. Brides would let their hair down and put flowers and herbs in their hair when they were married. They thought a blue beard was good luck and meant the bride and the groom would be faithful to each other.
Students also got to test out the green screen with backgrounds we found in Second Life. Whenever possible, students created their own images, including film, rather than getting things off of the internet. One segment even included the retelling of Beowulf using puppets and the green screen. So did it work? Were students more engaged? Here are the results for both Cycle 1 and Cycle 2 surveys. Judging from these results, I'd have to say that yes, they were more engaged. I also observed students in class forgetting what time it was, being reluctant to leave, and coming in a little bit early so they could get started. Most importantly, most students finished every task related to the movie, and they did a good job of it. Part of the survey allowed students to describe their reaction in their own words. When asked if they thought using this approach to studying history helped them to better understand, the results were overwhelmingly positive. Their comments also reflected a higher level of student engagement than had been gotten through a traditional approach. In order to have learning, you have to have engagement. I believe I've discovered that using digital storytelling does increase engagement among high school students. It has also been a pleasure to pass on many of the things I learned in the EMDT program to my students.